review of Sew Right, and then we're going to tie it all together for sewing and serving. Okay, so with that, the review of Sew Right. The level in which you live is directly connected or correlated to the level in which you give. Fact check it. Most millionaires, billionaires, trillionaires are some of the world's greatest givers. And I know for most, your response would be, well, duh, because they have it to give, right? But it didn't start there. When you focus on others, God will increase your giving to others and your living for yourself. Proverbs 11:25 says, the generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. That's the New King James Version. Your ability to give more is an indication that you have more and are living better. Amen. Some people focus on providing their own living, thinking they can't afford to give, which it is truly the exact opposite. Obedient, proper, and appropriate giving is the unlocking method to abundant living. I'll say that again. Obedient, proper, and appropriate giving is the unlocking method to abundant living. Being stuck in the mindset that you don't have it to give is the result of poverty. We know that poverty is a mindset. Well, so is wealth. Wealth is also a mindset. So in order to transform that mindset, you must first identify that you have a poverty mindset. So we understand that your brain and your mind are two different entities, okay? Although they are inter and intra-related and they work simultaneously. The mind is a part of the unseen, invisible, transcendent dimensions of thoughts, intellect, feeling, attitude, belief, imagination, reasoning, and creativity. Your mind is powerful. The mind has the ability to keep an entire body alive as long as the mind is alive. A person can be brain dead with a heartbeat. The intelligence of the mind permeates every cell in your body, not just your brain cells. So the scripture to correlate with that is, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he, right? We all are familiar with that scripture. So since when does your heart have a brain? How can your heart think, right? Because a lot of us kind of glide past that scripture and we shoot it out and recite it, but are we really taking time to consider exactly what it's saying? Again, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So it's not the brain capacity that happens, but it's the mind. Again, the mind is the invisible realm, okay, and permeates every cell in your body, not just your brain cells. Your mind is a component of your soul. Don't forget that back in the book of Genesis, when God breathed into the nostrils of Adam, we became a living soul, not a living body, not a human being, not any of that. The scripture called us a living soul. So we in nature are spiritual beings having a natural experience. We are first soul or spirit. So the mind is the component of the soul, the way, method, or system in which you think is conceived in your mind. The way or how you carry it out is determined by the grooves of your brain. Your brain is a part of the visible, tangible world of the body, the physical organ most associated with the mind and consciousness. The brain is the mind's processing system. There's a brief round of tennis back and forth, an exchange between the mind and the brain before an action or thought is carried out. The physical process of transformation of the brain is done by a way or a method by the name of neuroplasticity. It is the process in which the brain has the ability to adapt and change. So you may say, hey, P, I've been this way for years. My mom is this way. My dad is this way. My grandma is this way. We've grown up literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. I've never seen anything outside of the struggle, right? But because the struggle for us is a real place for many of us. And it's not a put down, but it is giving you enlightenment to turn on the light and consider another way. To know that this is not the way that you have to live. Because not only did he come that we might have life, but he came that we might have it more abundantly. So for those of you who have heard me teach before, you know that my acronym for life is living in fulfilled expectation. The expectation of God for us is way further beyond many of us can even think or dream. And we live beneath our means, being so committed and so loyal to who we've become because of life, being so committed and loyal to how we've matriculated and matured and come up through generation from generation to generation, not considering that, hey, I can be the curse breaker. I can be the one to break this generational curse. Like, I can be the first millionaire in my family. I can be the first one to really fully attain and obtain living the abundant life which Christ has came for, right? So with that, because this is how you've grown up, it does not have to be where you end. Be the change, be the curse breaker, be the first in your family to leave a legacy and LLCs instead of trauma. So within neuroplasticity, the neurons connect and reconnect, and change the physical structure and function when they're repeatedly input. We have the ability to re-engrave the grooves of our brain by way of repetition. So for me, like I said last week, this is the Joshua 1:8. Meditate on his word both day and night. When you meditate, meditation is intentional. You don't just accidentally meditate. Like, nobody just stumbles upon meditation. Like, it's something you set out to do. It's something you do with intention. You're setting your mind somewhere. You come into meditation with a mindset, whether it's for clarity to detox or whether you're setting yourself to hear. Okay, so even with this, as you get in the practice of meditating on his word both day and night, repetition is innate in that. You're going to rehearse the word. You're going to continue hearing the word in your ear gates, right? So once you hear it in your ear gates, it's then going to go to your brain and literally recreate grooves. Like, our brains are what they are, right? Like, I'm like, God, you made us so awesome, right? So then y'all know my other thing is we're the only thing God put his hand to. Everything else he spoke into existence, right? Man was the only thing he put his hand to. But when we really take time and dissect the anatomy of our bodies and how these things really work, we serve a mighty God. Because there's no other pseudo God that has done half of the things that our God has done, right? So listen, I'm saying all that to say, wherever you are, wherever you've been, whatever mindset, whatever invisible incarceration you've been locked up in, know that freedom is available to you. Okay, so you will never be able to fix or correct something that you won't admit exists. And it's not a put down. That thing is passed down through generations. Your mother struggled, her mother struggled, her mother struggled, and the previous mother was probably a slave, right? So literally this mindset has been passed down from generation to generation. It's literally a spiritual wickedness in high places, and it's a principality. You want to know why? Because it's an invisible prison. Prisons that we can't see are truly worse than being locked up in the Fed somewhere behind the metal bars that you can see. Why? Because you're locked up and you don't even know it. When you are in an invisible prison, in most cases, you're in denial. Why? Because that's all you know. Poverty has been normalized for you. Living paycheck to paycheck has been normalized for you. Robbing Peter to pay Paul has been normalized for you. Always shopping in discount stores has been normalized for you. So when you hear different, you automatically become defensive or shut down because it's not what you're accustomed to. It's not what you're used to hearing or seeing, okay? When you open your hand to be a blessing for others, God will fill that same hand with blessings for you. This is God's way to increase you. The law of sowing and reaping can be found in Luke 6:38, and it states, "Give, and it shall come back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, shall men give into your bosom. For with the same measure that ye meet, withal it shall be measured to you again." So let's take some time with this scripture as we review it. The first clause says, give, right? So that's the first instruction. We must be givers. And then when we give, it says what? It could come back to you, it may come back to you, or does it say it shall come back to you? It says it shall come back to you, right? That's a definitive statement. That's not a question. That's not a maybe. That's not a possibility. That's not anything that's up in the air. Like, it's solid and anchored. If you give, it shall be given back to you, okay? Then the next clause says, good measure, pressed down, shaken together, okay? So then last week we talked about good measure, right? So this is our cooking example. When you measure something out, you're looking to be exact. But if you really know how to cook, you're going to add just a pinch more so it can be a little bit more seasoned, right? Okay, so it can fill the whole palate, not just a little piece. Okay, because we love robust flavor, right? So we're going to put a little additional pinch on there, right? So once you do that, then it says press down. So let's say we measuring flour, right? So you know, when you measuring flour, you pour it, then you hit it on the counter, right? So that flour can be pressed down in there, right? So then you may pour a little bit more, because once you press it down, you find out what? You got a little bit more room, right? Once you, come on, Jeremiah, you the culinary chef. Work with me, right? You press it down. Do you see you got a little bit more room? You be like, oh, I could put some more in here, right? So it's the press down that allows for more room, right? So you have a little bit more room, then you shake it, right? So it's shaking together, right? So then you like, all right, bet I can go ahead and pour this into the bowl, right? So once you shake it and it's right where you want it, you then place it in the bowl or whatever it is you're cooking in. That's how the return of the blessing is for us. It's good measure because it's measured out real good. Then it's pressed down so we can get a little more put in there. Then it's shaken together to ensure we have what we need. Then it's placed into our other men. This is not anything that you have to do for yourself. The only part that you have to participate in is the sowing. The reaping is God's responsibility, so to speak. The harvest, it's on him. But you can only participate or expect or receive a harvest once it is that you sow, okay? So Webster's defined the word sow as to plant, to set in motion, to begin an enterprise. So when you sow, you actually are setting things in motion. On the other hand, it's the exact opposite. When you don't sow, you are not, or you are prohibiting things from being in motion. We must activate the plan of increase. Another key point in sowing is that you will always reap more than you sow. If you sow an apple seed, what will you harvest or reap? You're going to reap an entire apple tree. You're going to get apples for many seasons to come. How? As long as you continue to take care of the ground in which the seed was sown into, okay? So let's take some time with that picture. You sow a seed, you reap a tree, okay? So these are some additional points that I want to add to this. Let's look at 10 benefits of a tree. Number 1, trees provide food, okay? So from your seed, others are able to eat. Relate that, parallel that back to ministry. Because of your seed, because of what you sow, others are able to eat both naturally and spiritually. So when we give, in our ministry areas, when we give our tithes and offering, when we give what's been asked of us, people are able to eat naturally. Let's start there, okay? Because we can't talk to spiritual things until we take care of people's natural needs, right? So we have people who come in who need to eat sometimes. They have just hit a hard spot in life and they don't have it. It is the church's responsibility to take care of these people. But if we don't have any meat, any money in the storehouse, then what? What does that say to that person? What does that say about the ministry? And what does that say for us as it relates to our representation of God? In real time, though. So, like, take that and consider these type of things when you're challenged to hold back your hand. Consider the things or the people that you're cutting off when you choose to not be a good steward. Consider these type of things when you're mismanaging your money. What really is the end result? So for many of us, we live selfishly, unconsciously, right? And then for some of us, it's very conscious. But I'm going to go with the unconscious ones for today because I'm not here for a rebuke, okay? But for those of us who are living selfishly, unconsciously, it's just like, okay, well, this is my money, and if I mismanage it or if I'm not a good steward, I'm the only one that's going to suffer. But that's not true. People are depending on your seed to eat, okay? Secondly, spiritually, when you hold back your seed in the ministry, how many things are cut off or delayed because the money isn't there? How many things do we have to drag out? All that drag, okay? How many things do we have to drag out because we're trying to piece $50 here and $100 here and $75 here for a $500 bill? Like, seriously, right? How many ministry areas are working with limited resources, and at the end of the day, we're the ones working and we're frustrated because we're on these teams with limited resources. And it's like, how am I expected to be successful, or how am I expected to serve from a place of excellence and I have limited resources? Yeah, circle that back when you choose to withhold your offering. Trace it back. Like, at some point, we have to take ownership and responsibility for what we are and are not doing. Your sowing is serving. And once you sow your seed, once you plant that seed, it is out of you've done your part. You have done your part. So if there's another request, if there's another whatever, you're already taken care of. If you have it, absolutely. If you don't, cool. Because you've done what was required of you, okay? So trees provide food both naturally and spiritually, okay? Number 2, trees protect the land. So from your seed, the ministry is not left in a vulnerable place of always being in need or without. The Bible talks about money being a defense. So when we do not sow our seed, we leave our ministry, we leave our church in a place of vulnerability because we don't have it. Why don't we have it? Because there are those of us who are challenged in this area or who are challenged with giving who won't give. And we don't have what we don't have. Because I'm sure we all can attest that nobody's sticking you up, right? Before you leave church, ain't nobody saying, hey, did you get your offering? Hey, did you pay your tithes? Ain't nobody doing that to you. Right. Whole stick up, right? Maybe we should, oversee. Psych, no. Start shaking people's pockets down. But no, really, we cannot continue to leave our ministry in a place of vulnerability. Number 3, trees help us breathe. They give us oxygen. Trees provide shelter and shade. Because of your seed, the church or ministry area is able to provide shelter or shade to those in need. Same thing with the food, both spiritually and naturally. There are people who come to the church homeless. They do not have a place to live. As a ministry, we should own some homes that we are able to house these people with minimal to no cost, take care of them, give them whatever, a job corps type, whatever, make sure they got the tools and resources that they need to go out here and work, brush them off, set them on their way to be successful. As a ministry, we should be able to do that. But guess what? We cannot if we can't even get people to regularly pay their tithes and offering. We trying to keep the lights on. We trying to keep the heat on. We trying to get the boiler over and over and over and over again. Because people are challenged in this area, right? So this is the purpose of this lesson, for you guys to really see and understand the importance of your seed and how it's directly connected to your serving. Because there are some people who will lift their right hand to God and probably be willing to swear to God that they really serve God, but they stingy. Or they rob them regularly. And they don't think anything is wrong with that. And we know the scripture says, will a man rob God? And they said, how? He said, with your tithes and offering. Then, we have those who debate whether that's Old Testament, New Testament. We're not here for that. Be obedient to the word, okay? Number 5, trees are a natural playground. Gives the opportunity to climb and explore. I got my time, y'all. They told me I got 10 minutes, so let me get through this. 6, trees encourage biodiversity. Trees are the homes to many birds, animals, and insects. Number 7, trees provide sustainable wood. Number 8, trees conserve water. Trees not only improve water quality, they also prevent stormwater and flooding issues that can occur. Number 9, trees improve mental health. Studies show that even looking at trees can calm us. The Japanese have a word for it, shirin yaku, or forest bathing. And number 10 states that there is so much more. Trees have proven to be a source of medicines, foods, and materials, improving our planet and lives. So we see here from this list that a tree is something that keeps giving. This is the exact reason why the enemy fights you so hard as it pertains to your giving. And we don't double, triple, or quadruple think spending money anywhere else but in church. McDonald's tells you what to pay, you pay it. Applebee's tells you what to pay, you pay it. Kia tells you what to pay, you pay it. The landscaper tells you what to pay, you pay it. The snowplow man tells you what to pay, you pay it. The point is, whatever it is that you have to do in any other area of your life, you do it. And you make sure it gets done with no conversation or no talk back. But when it comes to the things of God, that's where we try to become critical thinkers or financially responsible. And then it's, well, I have to pay this bill, or I have to pay that bill. I really can't give it now because my kids got to do this, or I got to do that. When what you had to do have been there all along. So, the place, the ground that has the ability to yield or bring forth an eternal harvest, we question, should we give, or we give our excuses not to? Hashtag transformation goes there. Your hand is an extension of your heart. When you give in obedience to God's will, his grace is released to you. He will ensure that you never go without. Money doesn't make you, you make money. And be very sure and intentional to keep it this way. Because when it's flipped, if money makes you, money will then also gain the upper hand and have the ability to break you. Money doesn't make you any better. It truly operates as a magnifying glass and just makes bigger in seeing who and what you really are. So for that, let's wrap our minds around the fact that there is a sure difference between being buried and being planted. Let's first understand that sowing and burial serve two different purposes, although they both look the same. Sowing has a destiny, whereas burial, the destiny is the act of sowing. It is God's will for us to have increase. For you to be planted is destiny. Destiny or being planted requires digging, okay? Both destiny and destination are both concealed, okay? It's the phase of watering that makes planting differentiate from burial, okay? So when you plant a seed, you're planting a seed in the ground with expectation for a harvest. When you bury something, that's the end. That's we bury our loved ones, right? We bury things that are dead. Seed gives life. Seed is life in real time, right? But you're waiting for the manifestation. You're waiting for the harvest. So it goes down this small, but it comes up a great big oak tree, right? So it's the phase of watering that makes the planting differentiate from burial. When a seed receives water, it then goes through a phase of transformation. So when you plant that seed in the ground, it's going through a whole process. And that's I think is that phase where we grow weary in our well-doing, right? It's in the transformation. It's in the uprooting process where we become impatient or we become doubtful even sometimes, like, okay, I'm not seeing the benefits of sowing. I'm not seeing the benefits of giving, but just hold your course. You don't plant a seed today and have a tree tomorrow. It does not work that way. And the ways of God and the ways of the kingdom parallel a lot of what we see in the earth, a lot of agriculture, a lot of with trees, it's scriptures about trees all in the Bible. It's scriptures about planting, sowing, reaping, harvesting, all in the Bible. So let's not get amnesia, okay, or selective amnesia when it comes to us sowing. It takes time. There's seed time, one word, right? Seed time and harvest. There is a time for you to sow. It's not seed, time, it's seed time. One word. There is a time for you to sow, and then the harvest comes. But from that seed time, to harvest, there's a transformation stage. That seed has to grow root. Root has to expand all in the ground so when the tree come up and wind come, it can still stand. Who want trees falling all over every wind blow? I want my tree to have some roots, some foundation, some wherewithal to stand, okay? So, your planting is a service unto God. Your planting is an act of service. We see it is that God gives the increase. So the scripture said, 6-10, I have planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth, but God that giveth the increase. Now he that planteth and he that watereth are one, and every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor. For we are laborers together with God. Ye are God's husbandry, ye are God's building, according to the grace of God which is given unto me as a wise master builder. I have laid the foundation, and another buildeth thereon. But let every man take heed how he buildeth thereupon. So my time is up, and I thank you for yours. Are there any questions? No questions? So for those of you who are on social media, our giving measures have been pinned, and you are more than welcome to sow into this ministry. If this ministry has blessed you in any way, shape, or form, sow. You definitely have to sow where it is that you want to grow, because sowing is definitely living. Giving is life. If you want to live, give. Rhyme on time, but for real. If you want to live, give.
And it's not only money. I don't want to stop there. It's you. Give yourself unto God. Give your talents unto God. Give your time unto God. All of you. You know, we're to die daily. Take up our cross and follow him. So give if you want to live. The bishop will be here at 11:30, and Pastor Rosina and Pastor Joe, Pastor Cassie, we're going to finish our ER conference on today, Made to Love. So happy Valentine's Day, everybody. If nobody has told you that you are loved, we love you here at the Lion, and there's nothing you can do about it. God bless you.